Hey guys, and welcome back to Her Revision Podcast, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. So, hey y'all, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm Jasmine Lachey. I want to get into this episode because this is something that has been tapping me on my shoulder a lot over the last couple of weeks as I'm embarking on new things in my life, and I want to see if you guys have been here too. So honestly, I've been realizing lately that a lot of us are walking around feeling like we're behind or you're confused or like you're missing something. When honestly, y'all, we have been conditioned and were raised inside of this idea that you are supposed to pick one thing with your life and make that be your whole story. Find your purpose, that'll lead to a fulfilling life. One lane, one identity, one title of who you are. And honestly, no. I wholeheartedly feel like no. For whatever reason, we were conditioned to feel like that version of us was supposed to last forever. Once you find that thing, once you find that purpose, that will be your stamp. And I don't know who decided that, but I want to talk about why I'm not subscribing to that anymore. Because honestly, when we were kids, nobody lived like that. I was just having this conversation the other day with my friend. As kids, we wanted to be everything. One day, you want to be a teacher. At least for me, of course, my first role that I wanted to be was a teacher. And then I wanted to be a chef. And then maybe wanted to be a veterinarian. And then somebody important, whatever the case may be, it was just never one thing. But somewhere along the line, our imagination got replaced with this pressure to figure it out fast so that you can start your life. Now it's don't be curious, be realistic. Pick something. And most of the time, we were told to pick something and have an idea of what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives at 18 when you were first going to college or graduating high school, which is insane to me. But when you wanted more than one thing, that desire got crushed a little bit. Now it feels like you're doing too much. I need you to be realistic. Life doesn't work like that. And I think that did something to us psychologically. Because let me tell y'all, like I said, I really wanted to be a chef. When I was in, I want to say this was shit, what, like my freshman year of high school, maybe? I wanted to go to Le Cordon Bleu so bad, y'all. That was my thing. I was looking it up. Shit, you would have thought I was graduating the week after. I wanted to go real bad. I was going online and getting those brochures very, very early on in my high school career. I used to sit and watch cooking shows with my grandmother, Emerald, Rachel Ray, Paula D, all of the greats, y'all. I was so fascinated. The kitchen felt so alive to me, even down to like the banter that they had when they was talking to the camera, creativity, just seeing it come to life from start to finish, down to cutting the vegetables. All of it looks so spectacular. And before that, like I said, I wanted to be a teacher. So, of course, all of this has a theme, right? But for me, standing in front of the kids, explaining stuff, helping something click to them, it made me feel like I could make a difference in kids' lives, even down to the classroom environment. How many of y'all wanted to be a teacher just to decorate the damn classroom? Or was it just me? I don't know. But so much so that I started my first official job was a babysitting business. I had, I had made homemade business cards and everything. I think my mom might still have it. I don't know. But that, of course, after years of being in high school, that definitely shifted. And then I wanted to own my own store, some type of fashion boutique. It was actually going to be called, the name has transitioned so many times, but I want to say it was called One Society. I even started it a year or so after. God, that's neither here nor there. And honestly, I was not even obsessed with fashion at all. I loved, the idea of ownership and building something. So I went to college. I went to Columbia College in Chicago. I got my degree in fashion business management. Then I started a career at Macy's. I was at Macy's for 10 years before I left. And of course, I learned a lot through that, structure and people, presentation, all of that. And I don't always talk about my background like that, but I just want y'all to follow me for a second because even while all of that was happening, I was always talking. I was always speaking. I was always motivating somebody in some degree. Word of the day videos. Before I started my shift, I was posting word of the day videos on Snapchat and Instagram when I had 500 followers. Little vlogs that I was posting on YouTube when I was in college that they are all gone. I deleted them and I hate that for myself. But just sitting there talking to the camera because it felt natural. And as you look back on that now, I can see the pattern so clearly. Of course, the roles kept changing, but the thing underneath it never did. And this is why I want y'all to follow me. It clicked for me there. We hear all the time, especially spiritually, that God gave everybody a purpose. And somehow, for whatever reason, we turn that into meaning just one job, just one role, one assignment, one thing you're supposed to figure out and then never change your mind about. But what if your purpose isn't a role? What if your purpose is a why? Because hear me out. If purpose was one job, then why do so many people get the thing that they pray for and still don't feel satisfied? Why do we outgrow the thing we once wanted? I used to pray to God, God, please let me get into this college for fashion business. I want to go to New York and I want to be a fashion business manager. I want to start my own clothing line so that I can sell it in my own store. Why do some of us feel fulfilled in multiple spaces? For me, the why has always been the connection. If you even think about pattern or the different roles that I've told y'all about, helping people understand themselves, translating ideas, creating space that shows up shit, even through me podcasting right now. It could show up through teaching. It could show up through culture, art, books, museums, history. If you are following me on social media, you know those are things that I'm interested in and I'm passionate about. And it even showed up in cooking and fashion in different ways, right? So it's the same why though. And once I realized that, I stopped feeling like I was behind. Because society will tell you that you are behind because you haven't found your one thing that you like or you fell out of love with that one thing. So if you're sitting there like, I don't know my purpose, I want you to stop asking yourself, what am I supposed to be? Because I really do feel like that question stresses people out. And instead of asking, what am I supposed to be? Ask yourself, what keeps showing up in your life? What do people always come to you for? Or what do you naturally explain without trying? What do you love to do even when nobody knows that you love to do it? What makes your internal feel more joyful? That's your why. And once you know your why, you stop panicking about time. Because my God, today, we have been taught that time is of the essence in a way that damn near feels threatening. Like any time tomorrow, you could drop dead. Like if you don't pick right the first time, you've messed up your whole life. You've wasted so much time. I remember even considering the new thing that I'm about to start or that I'm embarking in now, I had a conversation with my best friend and I was like, damn, I wish I would have started this years ago. And she told me, like, why? The time is going to pass you by anyway. You've lived different lives than I have. Time is real. And I get that. Bills are real. Responsibility is real. I'm not ignoring that. But time is not a cage, it's a container. I think the real fear isn't necessarily that we don't have enough time. I think the fear is that choosing one thing feels like killing the rest of ourselves. The things that you did prior to this point feels pointless or useless or like it didn't matter. So of course it makes you freeze. It makes you feel like, damn, like did I just waste all of these years? Did I just waste all of this time? Or you stay stuck because you don't want to feel like you did nothing for or did all of this for no reason. You judge yourselves for evolving, for not feeling the same way about those same things. But growth, you expanding, doesn't mean that you were wrong before. It means that you are in a different place now. If anything, You're growing in a better way now. But all of that prior to mattered. Living, and I consider this me living a full life, right? Like I said, I've done a lot of things. I've explored a lot of different career paths. Well, no, the career path has been the same, but I've explored a lot of different visions of what my career path would look like. But all of the skills and things that I've learned, of course, were necessary, but I still consider it a very full life. And living a full life doesn't necessarily mean that you're reckless or that you're just out here being a free spirit. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. I promise you I'm not. But I think that living a full life means letting yourself explore without feeling bad about it. Doing side quests is not a bad thing, y'all. I've done so many side quest things in my life. I listen, learning something just because you want to is a beautiful thing. And I promise you, if I know God like I know God, all of it is going to be connected. Traveling just because your body said, I need to feel something, I need to see something. When I tell you, I feel like it still connects. That's your full life. Allow yourself to expand what you know without feeling like you need permission to do so, or without feeling like it has to, you have to know what that meaning is. You have to know what your purpose is within that at that moment. You can be responsible, still pay your bills, still live your life, and be do all the things that you're supposed to be doing as an adult. You can do all of that and still be curious. And I'm going to say something that may be a little uncomfortable to hear. I think a part of what messes us up is that we don't talk enough about the grief that comes with choosing anything, right? Even when you make a good choice in that moment, there's still going to be some sort of loss. When I chose to go to college for fashion business, I wasn't just choosing school, I was also, without knowing it, putting the chef life on pause. I was also, without knowing it, experiencing the loss of choosing this college versus all of the other ones where my life could have went in a whole different trajectory. I was putting, the teacher version of me on pause. I was putting on ice the idea of just exploring and seeing or choosing a different degree program. I was putting all of that on hold, and there is a grief that comes with that. There's a lot of what if that comes with that. Shit, there may be a lot of FOMO that comes with that. Nobody talks about that part though. Nobody tells you that sometimes feeling off isn't because you chose wrong, it's because you're aware of everything else you could have chosen. And instead of letting that grief just be information that we take in, like, okay, I understand that, I understand the loss, I understand the things that weren't, we shame ourselves for it. We say, like, why am I still thinking about this? I'm still thinking about what could have been. That must mean that I should be doing that now. But what if that feeling isn't you being discontent? What if it's just an unfinished thought? And listen, it could just be, and I could be wrong, but to me now at this point in my life, I think I've realized that those conversations that I had about me feeling some type of grief about around the things that I did not do with my life, or the different paths that I did not go at that time, was just my spirit saying, like, don't forget about me. And not to say that, oh, you missed your mark, but hey, I'm still here. It's still a possibility when it's time, when you're ready. I think we also got to talk about how we learn that a narrow life, or having one specific path, equals you being grown, being an adult. Somewhere along the line, your adulthood became synonymous with seriousness. You should know what you're going to do at 18. That's why so many kids are becoming doctors and engineers and lawyers and are unhappy 15 years later. And this is why we have so many people in these vital fields that don't have the compassion for the people that will benefit off of their career field, because it was something that they felt like was a grown-up decision when they were. This is why I'm not having kids, y'all. You're not gonna, God, I don't want kids. But this is why when it comes to like children growing up, I implore people that have children to let their kids explore, let their kids find themselves. Because I truly don't think that being grown should be deduced to routine, repetition, doing the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over and then calling that stability. And listen, I do believe that structure is important. This is not a structure conversation. I like structure. I need structure. I don't think that I would be in half of the positions that I'm in without some form of structure. This is not an anti-discipline conversation, right? But I do think that there's a difference between being structured and abandoning yourself and your desires and the things that you want to do and want to explore. A lot of us were taught that once you hit a certain age, curiosity is childish. Trying new things makes you irresponsible. Not knowing exactly what you want to do with your life or changing your mind once you figure out what you thought you wanted to do means you don't know who you are. But I don't think that shit is wise to instill in anybody. And I don't want you to embody that. If there's something that you want to do, change your mind. Change it. People call that maturity when that's just fear. That's why I don't subscribe to somebody else out that hasn't experienced the things that I want to experience telling me that I shouldn't do it, that I need to be realistic, because when think about it, the people who judge others the hardest for evolving are usually the ones that who feel trapped in a version of themselves that they didn't consciously choose. They had to be put in that situation. They had to stay in that role. So instead of asking, why do you want so much? Why do you want to be so much? Why do you want to do so much? We should be asking, who told you that you were only allowed to do or want one thing? Because when they have to be confronted with that question, it changes your viewpoint on where that information or who the receiver who's telling you that. Challenge that shit. Be whoever. I'm 31. I am about to change. I haven't even used that damn fashion business management degree because my life, I want it to be full in so many different ways. I think that was, as much as I gripe about the degree, I think that I needed that at that moment, and not necessarily for the fashion aspect of it, because I think that it forced me and it molded me into being more of a people person. It molded me into being more aware of my discernment and sharpening that skill. Life did that, but also that career field wasn't, it was important. It taught me work ethic. And this is important because I know somebody listening is like, oh, how do I know if I'm just all over the place? And I'm going to say this clearly. Being scattered or unsure about where you want to be in your life, and I don't care how old you are, does not mean that you don't know why you're moving. Being multifaceted or multidimensional, whatever you want to call it, means you know exactly why. You just refuse to limit how it shows up. And that is a beautiful thing. Don't limit yourself to your why. You know why you want to do the things that you want to do. You're just limiting yourself because you feel like you should have only one thing that you're good at. I'm not interested in doing random things just to say I'm busy. Everything that I've ever been drawn to has a common thread: teaching, cooking, fashion, podcasting, culture, art, books, museums, African American studies. All of it comes back to people. All of it comes back to story. All of it comes back to meaning. And that's me. That's for me personally. So figure out your why. I'm not confused. I'm integrated. And I think a lot of y'all are too. You just haven't been given the language for it. I want to give you permission, and I'm not nobody, but I want to give you permission that if you are in a stage of your life right now where you are still trying to figure out where you want to be and you're shaming yourself because you're a certain age or in a certain place in your life or a certain point of establishment, and you're like, damn, it will be foolish of me to change. It would be foolish of me to switch it up. It's foolish of me to not know what I want to do in my life. No. What is your why? Start there. Because when people say time is of the essence, and I want to circle back on that time conversation, what they often mean is that they want you to pick something that makes sense to other people. Because if time was really about being wise, we'd honor seasons because I've been through so many seasons in my life. We'd honor evolution because I am not the same person that I was before. We'd honor how long it actually takes to know yourself, because you do not know yourself in the first, I don't know, 10 years of adulthood. And I'm still, of course, evolving and going to be learning myself and the different seasons that I may continue to be in. But instead, time gets used like a countdown, and that is pressure. So, in your mind, because it's a countdown clock, if you don't have it figured out by 25, 35, you're behind. Behind who? Behind what? Most of the people we think have it figured out just committed to something very early. Not necessarily consciously, they just committed early. And commitment without being conscious of the decision is not purpose, it's a habit. Somebody chose something early on and formed a habit. And maybe it paid off later, maybe it didn't. But I'd rather arrive later with intention than do some shit early and then end up with regret because I didn't choose to pivot even though my heart said so. And I'm gonna make this so real for y'all, because live a full life can sound very vague and I don't know, anticlimactic, I guess. Living a full life looks like, letting yourself take a pottery class and never trying to monetize off of it. It may look like you studying something just because you want to have that knowledge, just because you want it to feed your brain. I watch documentaries and I read the why behind some of my favorite jazz artists or my favorite photograph pieces, just because it feeds my brain. It makes me happy. I want to know. It may look like you traveling, even if it's not a flex trip, even if it's not some out of the country. Maybe you want to go to, I don't know, Montana to know the history behind. I have no idea what's in Montana. I'm just throwing some shit out there. But it may look like allowing yourself to be a beginner again. Side quests that you don't necessarily need to turn into a brand. I have made this conversation on my stories quite a few times, but I've changed my mind again about it. But I was saying the other day on my stories, y'all know that I love art, jazz music, anything with Black culture, Black history, African American studies, because some of us grew up where surviving may have been the only goal. So choosing joy, choosing things that genuinely just make you happy, and it being random and whatever the case may be feels wrong. Sometimes it may feel rebellious, but survival is not the finish line. I don't want to do shit just to say that I survived. What kind of life is that? So I say all of this to say, if you've been sitting there feeling like you're behind or like you didn't choose right or everybody else got a head start and you're still figuring it out, I really want you to hear me. You are not late. You are not confused. You're not wasting your life. You're unfolding, and I want you to bask in that shit. It may not even look impressive in real time. It may look like you just being curious about a lot of little things. Maybe you just started out writing and you're trying to figure out, damn, do I want to be an author? Whatever that may look like, changing your mind. I implore you to change your mind. Want more than one thing for yourself and don't apologize for it. I feel like shit, you a better person if you know that you like more than one thing. And I'm not knocking nobody that found their passion very early, stuck to the thing, and that's what they want to do. Wonderful. That means that you found your purpose. And you were one of the few lucky enough that one thing was your thing. But for somebody who may have thought it was their thought that one role was it, and now you're losing the zeal for it. Maybe you aren't really sure what your one thing is. Maybe you haven't found that one role, whatever the case may be. That's because you have autonomy and you're not using it. You do not owe nobody a clean explanation of who you are. Your origin story doesn't have to be a one size fit all, one thing that I stuck with and this is my success. No, you don't owe anybody one version of yourself forever. If God gave you a why, trust that. If He gave you a why, He also gave you the freedom to let that why move you through different seasons and different rooms, different expressions. Nothing about that is failure. It's faith. It's nothing but faith to have a why from God and put more emphasis on the why than the role. So live curiously, do the side quests, say yes to the things that make you feel more like yourself, even if you can't explain them yet, even if you don't know if it'll lead to something yet. You were never meant to choose one life, and I believe that wholeheartedly. You were meant to live fully inside of the one that you have. So if that means you are several things or you do several things at once, I'm about to start taking cooking classes. I may not think I might not, I don't know about going back to school to be a chef, but cooking classes. I'm going to live a full life, and everything that I said I wanted to do, I'm going to touch on that in one way, shape, form, or another. And wherever you are right now, it is not the end. It's just one chapter. And it's doing its job for the time being. But expand if you need to, expand if you want to, expand if something in your spirit is telling you that this is not it. More than likely, it's because it isn't. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to rate the podcast, y'all. Leave a comment on the podcast. Please, y'all been listening to me faithfully, and the people that be DMing me, and I'll say I love y'all right back. Rate the podcast, please. Until next time, bye.